This is BBC Radio 4.
Buy-to-let has been a huge growth area in recent years. It's brought a lot of property onto the market. But the problem for renters is the lack of security. 2/3 of people who rent have landlords who own fewer than 5 properties. Now, they rent on short-term leases, and if those landlords want to sell up, they can move the tenants on. In some other parts of Europe, companies invest in property for the long term, and they offer much better security of tenure. Successive governments here have been trying to encourage that, and it's starting to happen. Our reporter Melanie Abbott reports live now from a site in East London where a private development for rent is planned.
Yes, I'm in Walthamstow. This is an old industrial site. I'm surrounded by those kind of warehouse-type units. In fact, there's an old Autoglass right opposite me. But this is all going to be knocked down, and instead there's going to be 400 new homes, mainly flats, but some houses, and they will all be rented out. The company behind it is Legal & General, yes, the insurance company, and it's their first venture into property development. It's going to build this and then be the landlord. James Lidgate is their head of residential. Why now?
2 reasons, Melanie. We are in the middle of a chronic housing shortage in this country. We have failed to build approximately 2 million homes over the last 30 years that were required. And we believe that there's a real opportunity to professionalise the rented sector within the UK. And we are specifically designing properties with the rental market in mind. It's very much a serviced industry, and at the moment, as was mentioned earlier, we're in a sector that's worth approximately 900 billion in the UK at the moment in terms of those are homes available for rent, and 98% of those are owned by individual private buy-to-let landlords. So it's a huge sector that's effectively being managed and invested in on a cottage industry scale, and we believe there's a real opportunity here to provide levels of service that haven't been seen in the UK before.
Isn't it really, though, more social housing that we need? The kind of people who can afford to rent here from you could find something if they looked hard enough in the existing rental market.
We do need social housing, we do need affordable housing, we need housing for sale, we need housing for rent. What we're suggesting is that this should be in addition to the homes that would have been built anyway, and at Legal & General we're investing in all 3 of those sectors. We invest in affordable housing through our registered provider partners, and we also build homes for sale, and this is just another element.
James Lidgate, thank you. I hope we can come back to you. But first, let's hear from some of the other players in this market.
Last Thursday, we decided to have a dress rehearsal, test the apartments. I stayed in this one. We even did an exercise at sort of 10 o'clock. Everyone was asked to do the flush at the same time, just to make sure it works.
This is the ground floor of a brand new development that's going to be opening this week. It's going to have 100 flats in it for rent, and it's been built and will be managed by Grainger plc, who have been managing properties, renting out properties for more than 100 years now. But Anish Thabani is with me. This is the first one that you've actually built from scratch and are going to rent out and manage yourselves.
We have the entire building. I think that's quite important for the rental community and the prospective applicants, because they know who we are and they know that they've got security in terms of a landlord that is offering accommodation for rent.
Well, the lift's awaiting us to go upstairs and look at one of the flats. Is this a one bed, 2 bed?
We are offering apartments fully furnished or unfurnished. We expect majority of the apartments to be let furnished.
Trendy wooden floors, and you've got patio doors here opening onto a balcony. Oh, and we've got a pigeon roosting here on the balcony. You might have to do something about him.
And someone was saying they like it so much that even the pigeons are moving in. But we've got the RSPB coming in to help us move in, relocating for us.
How much would I be paying if I wanted to move in here?
This apartment will be £1,250 per calendar month. It's within the range of what the rentals are achieving within Barking. We are promoting 3-year tenancies, but there will be 12-month tenancies as well if that's what they prefer.
Analyst Kate Faulkner, who runs Property Checklists, welcomes the big boys coming into the game. She believes that tenants accept poor quality property because of a lack of choice.
For me, I think we need every property that the corporate landlord can build, so that we have this mature private rental sector, which will then naturally bring up the quality of the individual landlord's properties as well, because tenants will know what to expect. We have, as a country, for the last 40, 50 years, missed out on institutional investment. that Europe has benefited from. We have this huge increase in our population. We have not been matching our property stock to that increase in population over the last 30 years. So we are really desperate for every property we can to help put a roof over people's heads.
I'm now in a lift going up to the top floor of what used to be a government building, but is being converted into flats by a company called Essential Living. Now, these flats will be rented out, but they'll still be managed by Essential Living, and it's one of 7 developments that it's building at the moment in the southeast. Andrew Teacher is from Essential Living.
There's going to be 118 flats. There's going to be a mix of studios, 1, 2, 3 bedroom flats.
Why has Essential Living decided that the time is right now to get into this kind of development?
What we've seen in Britain since around 2000, 2001 is that the number of people renting privately has more than doubled. By 2019, it's going to be nearer 1 in 4 households nationally from 1 in 5 today, and that's according to Savills, the estate agents.
Do you think that we are getting to the stage where people are going to have to abandon the aspiration of owning their own home?
The reasons for renting in many cases will be because people can't afford to purchase because of the prices, because of mortgages and because of all those well-trodden things. But there's a growing number of people as well that simply prefer, firstly, the lifestyle option of renting, because it doesn't involve having to fix the guttering or pay the mortgage or worry about any of those costly things that many people have to faff about with each week, and also because it often means you can live more centrally.
The building will be finished next May, and it's part of a £1 billion investment in all 7 developments. Essential Living is backed by some big pension funds, but it hasn't all been straightforward. Plans for a 24-storey tower block in North London have been called in by the Secretary of State, but the company says there is political support to speed up building for rent. Its homes will be marketed for all ages, but the charity Shelter believes as a whole these schemes may not help many families who are looking for homes to rent. Pete Jeffries is a senior policy officer at Shelter.
While these initiatives are welcome, they are a very small part of a huge private rental market that currently just doesn't work for families and for people on low and middle incomes.
So you think that these are really just good if you are a kind of single young professional?
Well, I think that's who, if you look at their websites, if you look at the literature they put out, that's who they're targeting with these products, and that's absolutely fine. But that doesn't help the millions of people, especially people that come to Shelter looking for help, who need long-term stability so they don't have to move their kids from school to school, who need much more affordable rents, who need a bit more space, actually, if you're a family with children. They're not really catering to families like that, and that's who we really need to be helping.
Essential Living and Grainger both say families will be well catered for. But new developers, The Collective, are aiming firmly at the young.